Welcome to the social media session of JA Ethics Virtual. This session should take approximately 15 to 20 minutes with 2 short videos and an activity. On the right-hand side, you will see icons used throughout the sessions. When you see the black pause and play icon on the bottom right corner of a screen, please be sure to pause for the discussion and then play to advance. To start off this session, we are going to hear from JA volunteer, Dr. Trudy Billion.
Hello, I'm Dr. Trudy Billion, and I'm a professor here at the University of Sioux Falls. I teach in the Master of Business Administration program, and one of my favorite classes that I teach is called Leadership and Ethical Management. And I say that because I'm passionate about helping students raise their ethical competencies. I feel like more than ever, our world needs people that are equipped to make good moral decisions. It's also why I chose to become a JA volunteer. Today I'll be discussing how ethical choices impact our social media and online activity. But for now, let's head into the classroom. I'm sure by now you're on one or more of these social media platforms, or will be in the near future. But have you stopped to consider which one of these you gravitate towards more than the others? In addition, what types of posts do you really like watching or viewing? I know for myself on Instagram, I only follow people or organizations that I find to be uplifting or inspiring. They usually reflect some sort of an interest or an activity that I enjoy. I also want you to think about the posts that you don't like watching or viewing. What do they tend to have in common? I think we can agree that social media can be positive or negative depending on what we choose to do with it. We should also consider that ethical behavior is not just limited to what we do in the real world, but it impacts our behavior in the digital world as well. My background is in human resources, and I can tell you that employers, as well as universities and even some high schools, believe that social media is a major concern. You know, we might think that our posts are done on our own time, our own devices, involve our own space and thought. But in reality, employers as well as schools believe that students and employees' speech should reflect the values and the image that the organization wants to portray. And as we can see from these statistics, social media content can definitely have consequences. Many of you will be applying to colleges and universities in the coming months, and look at how many universities look at social media before they accept a student. As well, look at how many employers check social media before hiring an applicant. In recent years, we've seen a rash of employees that have been fired from an organization, athletes that have been dismissed from a sports team, all because of questionable online activity. But where that might draw the line can be challenging to consider. So in this next activity, you'll have the opportunity to look at how decisions are made in the digital world, and for you to consider whether the activity is ethical or unethical. So let's go ahead and pause for that activity.
Thanks, Dr. Billion. What a great reminder that ethical behavior isn't just limited to choices that we make in the real world. Ethical choices also occur in the digital world too. Now you're going to have the opportunity to consider some decisions that are commonly made in the digital world and consider whether they are ethical or unethical. So first, there's going to be a scenario that you read from the screen, and then students are going to stay seated if you think it's unethical and stand up if you think it's ethical. Then you'll provide some reasons as to why you came to the conclusion that you did, and then advance the presentation to listen to some additional things to consider regarding that scenario. Consider this. In addition to possible short-term consequences you may face from your school, what you post on social media might be shared and shared again. Beyond high school, your future employer may have policies related to not disclosing information or comments about the workplace. If they review your social media and find that you're willing to post negative comments about your principal, it could affect hiring decisions. Consider this. Sharing an opinion about a public figure is not wrong, and it may seem like it doesn't matter because they are far removed from you. But some comments can be unethical. False rumors about celebrities, professional athletes, or elected officials spread quickly and easily on social media. They can hurt a person's reputation and career. Beyond any possible consequences, you are making an ethical choice about positively or negatively contributing to the larger community. You can share a negative opinion if it adds to a conversation, but being mean in hopes of getting attention isn't good for anyone. Consider this. It probably seems innocent and ethical on the surface. Who doesn't love cute pictures of pets? However, your post reveals personal information about your neighbor and raises awareness that the neighbor is not at home. If your location or the neighbor's is shown, the house can become a target for burglary. Consider this. A video conference is not a public event where participants might expect to be photographed. Sharing and identifying people online, especially non-adults, can lead to unwanted and unexpected contacts. In addition, commenting about people is a form of gossiping and can be hurtful and sometimes even considered a form of bullying. Consider this. Even though classes are online, test-taking rules don't change. Even though the technology is different, it would be the same as if you wrote answers on your hand or brought a cheat sheet into the classroom. It's a form of dishonesty. Even though there are appealing short-term advantages, there may be consequences if you're caught, and you are potentially forming a habit of trading in real learning for dishonesty. Consider this. You don't know all the circumstances related to the news. Your friend may have wanted to tell certain friends or relatives in person before the news became public. Posting may cause your friend to distrust you and hurt your friendship. Consider this. This is another situation that may appear to offer the short-term gain of getting to see someone else's private data, but it could have significant long-term consequences. Broken trust can be difficult to repair, and sometimes you learn things about people you wish you never knew. Consider this. If spectators are using GoPro-type cameras to capture footage of a sport or event, players are expecting their actions to be captured and shared. It's always a good idea to get permission before sharing anything that might hurt or embarrass someone, but generally this would be ethical. However, if a person weren't aware that his or her actions were being captured, it would be unethical to benefit from someone's pain and embarrassment.
Well, welcome back. Research shows that when a person has a framework, principles, or a set of guidelines to follow, they're more likely to make a better ethical choice. And when it comes to social media, this is no different. So here are a few guidelines that I like to follow, and I hope that you'll find them easy to remember as well. The first is the tested time. You know, they say anything we put on social media can be found later. It's forever. But beyond that, is what you're posting today something you'd want an employer or a university to see a year from now or 2 years from now? The second guideline I always told my kids is, does it pass the grandparent test? Would you be proud to show this post to your grandparents? And for you, that could be a grandparent, but also could be a neighbor, a close family friend, someone whose opinion you value and trust and admire. The third rule is that of the golden rule, doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. In other words, being a good friend. There's a lot of research that is showing that heavy social media use in young people is linked to higher rates of depression, anxiety, and feelings of loneliness. And so I always want to think about what am I posting and how am I helping other people feel good about themselves. 1 in 6 teens today have experienced some form of bullying online. There was an incident a couple years ago in an area high school where a student thought she was doing something fairly innocuous. She took a picture of someone else in the locker room, sent it to a mutual friend, And by day's end, it had spread over the entire high school. And that simple action had devastating consequences, not just for that poor girl in question, but the poster as well. It had legal consequences. And so I often think of the words of Maya Angelou, who said, "People might forget what you did, they might forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel." And I think we all want to be that positive poster on social media, because in reality, everything we're doing online is creating our own reputation and our own social media brand. So I just leave you with this idea that, be smart, think first before you post, be a good friend, be a good leader, and above all else, be a great example of someone with moral and ethical courage.
Once again, thank you to Dr. Billion for bringing us that message. So what's next? If you have a little more time, please go to the JA Ethics Video Bank and pick and choose some short videos from South Dakota community leaders. If time is tight, skip to the wrap-up and closing, which is about 10 minutes in length and features volunteer VJ Smith.